So we are taking, again, like a slightly more usual practice, a slightly more kind of familiar vinyasa flow style, slightly more traditional poses, postures, but the main focus is going to be on matching movement to breath. It will be a little bit perhaps gentler, so guys that came to class on Monday, it will be a bit gentler than what we did on Monday. And I guess the main premise behind it comes back to decreasing your physical effort as a way or as a tool to help increase your awareness and increase your kind of sensitivity. Another way perhaps to think about it is sometimes we have to really concentrate to do less, to give ourselves permission to do less, because we're so used to we're so used to doing things in a particular way and feeling the effort. That's much easier to connect to. So it takes extra focus, extra awareness sometimes to bring that effort down, to kind of see where we can let that effort go from within the body or within the mind. Okay. I think that makes some kind of sense. Hopefully it'll all sink in as we go. Just find a seat. Just give the hands, give the arms a little bit of a shake. Just, if that's not comfortable, then feel free to move in any other way. You can give us a shimmy, we don't mind. Just kind of shake the body up a little bit. In fact, come up to standing. Sorry, I've just got you down on the floor. Come up to standing. Just have a little bit of a whole body shake. Just really get everything moving, shaking, tingling. A little bit more shake, a little bit more shake. For 5, 4, if there's anything you haven't shaken, shook, shake it now. 3, 2, brilliant, and 1. And then find your seat, close your eyes, make sure you're semi-comfortable, close your eyes, just notice how you feel, how your body feels. There might be a bit of tingle, you might feel a little bit more awake, you might feel mildly traumatized from shaking around like a mad woman first thing. And then breathing in through the nose, maybe taking the arms up towards the sky, and exhaling, maybe it's hands to prayer, but bringing the hands down in front of you, any way that feels good. And again, we're going to breathe in, take the arms up, or maybe in front if that's more comfortable for your shoulder, and exhale, maybe through the mouth as the hands come down. And again. So big kind of strong breaths with a bit of a focus on the exhale to ground. One more time. And then let your hands rest wherever is comfortable. Just check that the jaw, the neck, the shoulders are relaxed. Let your breath just move comfortably, naturally. And then we're going to slightly exaggerate your breathing. And what I'd like is to see if you can connect to a sense of lift or expansion or space with the in-breath. And a release, perhaps a grounding or a downward energy with the out-breath. Again, the inhale, bringing lift, space, openness or opening. A lightness perhaps on the exhale being of a slightly heavier, more downward energy, a releasing. You might feel slightly different sensations, and that's totally fine. And notice if you, or where you feel those things. So for me, I feel those sensations mostly around my chest. And it might be somewhere different for you. And then again, allow your breath to become kind of soft and comfortable. And just see, do you still notice any of those same sensations? And there will be a lot of this kind of questioning. What are you feeling? Do you notice this? And I'm not looking at, or we're not interested in a definite answer or trying to pretend that we feel something that we don't, for example, but rather being really honest with ourselves as much as possible about what our own experience is, which can be challenging. So then we're going to start to direct your breath into the bottom ribs. And as you inhale, just getting a slight sense of those low ribs expanding laterally side to side, just a touch. And then releasing back in, or back to neutral if you like, with the out breath. Breathing in and out through the nose. The inhale again, just lightly expanding low ribs to the side, this lateral breath. And the exhale, just a gentle release. Little or no movement in the belly. Just that little bit of gentle movement at the ribs. Do you feel like you're able to take a full or as full of a breath in as you would if you were breathing perhaps more deeply? There can be this sense of never quite reaching a kind of full expansive breath. Noticing perhaps if that's something that is fine for you, or if it's something that's maybe a bit frustrating. If it is a bit frustrating, does that create any restriction, any further restriction around the breath or the body? Trying to let go of any tension. Just try to keep focusing on that lateral breath. Seeing if perhaps there's any space to make the breath a little bit slower. You might find that you take a few rounds of quite slow breath that feels very comfortable, and then suddenly you feel like you've run out of breath. And you take a few rounds where they're shorter. Again, that's totally fine. Again, it's about this observation more than it is about perfection. Still with that lateral breath. Seeing if we can find a breath that is slightly slower than our normal breath, in inverted commas. Seeing if that breath is or can be very smooth, continuous. So there's no pushes or pulls or holds to your breath. Smooth, continuous cycle. Maybe seeing if your breath can also become softer, quieter, more gentle. I know that quite often in yoga I know I talk about taking a big breath in, taking a big breath out. But does it change anything if instead of taking breath, now, for example, we think of allowing our body to receive breath? as much as possible throughout the practice today, I want you to keep coming back to this breath, this lateral breath that is soft and slow and smooth, a breath that is received instead of taken, pulled, drawn into and pushed out from the body. We'll be exploring whether we can match our movements to this breath in terms of the length or the speed of our movement, and in terms of the quality of our movement. So instead of getting into that kind of power yoga stance, can we try less hard? Could we put in a bit less effort? Could we kind of not really care, not really mind how things look, or whether we're doing them in a way that would be perceived as perhaps good? So see if you can stay connected to this lateral breath. Again, it might change depending on what we're doing in the practice, and that's fine, absolutely fine. So with your next inhale, you're going to draw the shoulders forwards and up towards the ears. And with your exhale, you're going to soften the shoulders back and down. And keep that going. Forwards and up with the in-breath, back and down with the out-breath. And notice if that's had an impact on your breathing. Maybe your breath has become a little bit, just a touch, a little bit stronger or louder. Does your body instinctively want to release that breath through the mouth instead of through the nose? And just seeing what it is for you, how it feels. And then see if it's possible to adjust your movements. Still sticking with these shoulder rolls, could you adjust your movements so that we're able to get back to or get closer to that soft, slow, lateral breathing? And allow the shoulders to settle back to stillness, and just take your right ear over to your right shoulder. You're welcome to stay still here if you want to bring in any additional movements of the neck, again of the shoulders, anything at all, go ahead and do that. And just keeping an eye on what happens to your breath. When you're ready, switching sides. And bringing the head back to center and making your way into a child's pose. Try and stay connected to your breath, aware of these transition moments. So it's still just as connected to that transition as we are to the seat that we were in and the child's pose that we're going to arrive into. And as you settle into your child's pose, feel free to make any adjustments to make it more comfortable for you. Again, coming back to that lateral breath. Again, is it possible to achieve that same breath here, now that we're folded, now that we're more compacted, is it still possible to achieve it in the same way as when the spine was drawing upright, when perhaps there was a little bit more space? And then with the arms reaching towards the top of the mat, as you breathe in, the hips are going to lift away from the heels. You're coming towards a sort of an easy all fours position. And as you exhale, the hips are moving back down to your child's pose. Keep that going. And sometimes there can be a tendency to pull in the first part of the breath and then it gets softer. And push out the first part of the exhale and then it gets softer. Is it possible to make, again, the movement and the breath a little smoother, a little more continuous? How much do you have to pay attention to be able to notice these things? What happens if you start to run out of breath before you reach the end of your movement? Do you prefer to just take a little pause in the breath, get to the end of your movement, and then carry on? I know that's my preference. I have to concentrate quite hard and sort of gently force myself to really find a true match of movement to breath, to cut those movements short. But we do want to find a balance of this awareness of breath and movement whilst also warming the body up in a way that we need. So if you want to start to make it a bit stronger, go ahead and take that option. Maybe as you come forwards, you're moving the hips down, taking a little bit of an up dog, moving to a back bend. Maybe as you come forwards, you're taking a little press. Still trying to move one movement to breath, one movement per breath. Maybe you want to pick the knees up as you come forwards, take it into a full plank. If you want to keep it gentle, if you want to keep exploring that breath connection, of course you have that option. And it's totally okay as well if you choose to take some pauses, if you choose to take, or you find yourself taking more than one breath for what you're doing. But when you're ready, come back into your child's pose. Arms are reaching towards the top of the mat. You're going to turn the palm of your right hand up towards the ceiling. Take a breath in here. As you breathe out, drag the right hand towards the back of the mat. And as you breathe in, lift your hips, circle that right arm up and overhead. As you exhale, the hips come back. You're dragging the right arm toward the back of the mat. And as you inhale, right arm circles over. If it's okay for your neck, then maybe follow your right fingertips. You're still going with the same arm, so that you get a bit more of a kind of opening of the chest, a bit more of a gentle twist or spiral of the spine. Next time you complete that circle, you'll switch arms. So the exhale will drag back the left arm, and the inhale will circle it overhead. And these movements could be big, could be small. You want that balance of noticing the effects on our breath, maybe choosing to go more for the physical warm-up, maybe choosing to focus more on trying to dial back that effort and that breath. But when you're ready, finishing up your circle, coming to an all fours position and moving into cat-cow. So the in-breath will lift your sit bones, back arches, chest is forwards, and as you exhale, tucking the tailbone and rounding the spine to the ceiling. Maybe take a few rounds just to kind of get into it, if you like, physically, to match to your breath in terms of duration, and then again, seeing if we can adjust our movement or adjust our breath, coming back to that lateral, soft breath. How do we need to change our movements to make that soft, slow breath possible? Or the other side of the same coin, how do our movements change when we start to breathe in that way? When you're ready, just sitting the bum back onto the heels, either taking a child's pose or sitting up, spine drawing towards the ceiling, but closing your eyes and taking some stillness without the distraction of movement to just come back again to that breath. Receiving breath into the body and releasing it softly, gently allowing it to flow away. Make sure that your jaw is relaxed, your brow is soft. When you're ready, give the hands a bit of a shake out if they need it. We're going to spend a bit more time with the weight on the hands as you start to move into a downward facing dog. Once you find your down dog, as always, take a bit of time to kind of ease the body into it. Any little bits of movement. If you want it, if you prefer to take stillness, of course, take that. But could you find a little bit more ease? That's a little bit more comfort in your downward facing dog. And when you're ready, reconnecting again with that lateral breath. And using your inhale to float you forward toward a plank, and then exhale to take you back into your downward facing dog. Slightly stronger movements. So what does that mean for your breath? And if you want to make it a little stronger, adding in a little press or a little back bend as you come forward to your plank, you can do. How easy or how challenging, how much concentration does it take to really match movement and breath in terms of duration? When you're ready, from a downward facing dog, either walking your feet to your hands or your hands to your feet to find a forward fold. Take your time. Give yourself a bit of time in your forward fold as well. Do you want it to be kind of soft and ragdoll, a little bit stronger? If the back is not too happy, then maybe coming up to standing a little bit sooner. Right, so start to make your way up to standing any way that feels comfortable for you. Right, when you get up to standing, just give the shoulders a few rolls. Right, and then again, let the arms just hang at the sides of the body. Make sure your stance is comfortable. Maybe a little bit of softness in the knees. And coming back to this lateral breath, that's soft, that's gentle, that's smooth. It takes quite a lot of concentration. And then allow your in-breath to float your arms. And the exhale to release them. The arms might go high, they might not move much at all. But instead of lifting your arms, reaching your arms on the inhale, allowing that in-breath, which your body has received, to float the arms in some way. And again, if you feel like, oh, I really just need to get my arms all the way up to kind of get that openness through my shoulders, please do take it. In terms of the physical effort of raising the arms, does it feel different to perhaps how we usually do it? And then when you're ready, do take a big full breath in, reach the arms all the way up to the ceiling, maybe interlace the hands, and get a nice big stretch through the shoulders and the side of the body. Notice how that affects your breath. And as you release the arms, you're going to take the back of the right hand to the middle of the low back, palm facing outwards. Your left hand is coming around to the shoulder or the elbow, and you're using that left hand to gently pull the right elbow forwards. Try and soften the shoulders. Maybe give the head a little shake, release your jaw, so not holding tension in the jaw, the shoulders. Check in with the lower body. So hopefully knees aren't too locked. We don't need the glutes to be engaged. Just need to be kind of comfortable and easy. And then we'll take that right arm up for a tricep stretch. So still left hand holding onto right elbow. Settling in, maybe bringing chin slightly away from the chest if possible, softening shoulders. Noticing what's happening for you around the midsection. Maybe softening the legs. Again, releasing any effort that we don't actually need. And then make sure your feet are about hip distance apart. Little bend in the knees, lifting up and over to the left of your side bend. You might feel the weight really shift into your left foot. See if you can bring the weight back into the right just a bit and shift your weight back a touch into the heels as well, so the heels are firmly grounded. A little bit of extra support from the abdominals. They draw in as you reach both arms over to the left. Coming all the way up. Releasing the arms, back of the left hand this time is coming to the middle of the low back. Right arm is coming around depending on what's available. Trying to soften the shoulders. Keep the jaw and the neck and the shoulders free. Gently pulling, drawing, encouraging perhaps that left elbow forwards. And try not to grip. If it's making you really tense, then maybe do a bit more. If you bring that arm up higher, it will be slightly less intense for your left shoulder. And bringing your left arm up into your tricep stretch. And using that right hand for a bit of extra encouragement if you want it. Maybe chin slightly away from chest, are the low ribs flaring? Does that feel good? Do you want to bring a little bit more of a hugging down? Maybe just relaxing, shaking off the feet and the legs if they feel a bit tense or a bit locked. And then making sure again that the feet are roughly hip distance, little bend in the knees, lifting up and over into your side bend. Try and bring the weight back into both feet and slightly shifting back into the heels. Bit more support from the abdominals as you extend both arms over to the right. Good, all the way back up to center. Release the arms, give the shoulders a couple of rolls. Make your way to the top of your mat if you're not already there. And we're going to move through a full sun salutation. So we'll take it just as is, so you can breathe in a way that is kind of strong and supportive. Let's go sort of more full range of, a safe full range of movement, a satisfying range of movement for you, and then we'll dial it down. So come standing at the top of your mat, tune into your breath, and your breath might be a little bit stronger. We're going to take some bigger movements. Bear in mind, you will still need to give yourself time, so make sure your breath isn't too short. When you're ready, the inhale will take your arms up towards the ceiling, and the exhale will take the hands down to the floor. Step straight back into a down dog and take one round of breath there, breathing in and breathing out. Carrying on through your vinyasa, the inhale brings you forwards to your plank pose. The exhale lowers you down toward the mat. Breathing into your back bend, cobra, up dog, and breathing out to your downward facing dog. Take a breath in, take a breath out, bend the knees up to the top of the mat. Inhale, feet to the top of the mat, and exhale, rolling up to standing. Pause there. Nice. Slow your breath down. Lateral breath. Same things, same movements, less effort. So when you're ready, your in-breath will float the arms, and your out-breath will melt the hands to the mat, shifting back into your downward facing dog. And again, take a soft round of breath there. Before you move through your vinyasa, floating forward with ease on the in-breath, lowering towards the mat as you exhale. Back bend of your choice. Inhale to lift the chest, and exhale back into your downward facing dog once again. So we're not forcing our movements to be exactly the same when we manipulate our breath, but allowing a responsiveness and a change in those movements. But from your down dog, bring the feet in toward one another. Again, soft, gentle breath, lateral if possible, as you inhale and it floats your right leg. Then you exhale the right toes back down toward the mat. Same thing again. The inhale will float right leg, and the exhale will release it. If it feels a little bit tense, maybe allowing your left knee to bend, your left heel to rise. And we're not looking for visually perfect poses. We're looking for a certain feel, or for how they feel to be more important than how they look. Again, your in-breath is gonna float your right leg, and your out-breath will step right foot outside of right hand. Drop the back knee, and as you inhale, maybe moving a little deeper into your lunge, and as you exhale, drawing the hips back into a little hamstring stretch. And again, the inhale, shifting forwards, and the exhale, shifting back. We're going to keep that movement of the hips, so inhaling to come forwards, exhaling to come back, but add in a right arm. So as you breathe in, hips come forwards, right arm lifts, little twist. As you exhale, hips move back and right arm dives underneath left. Sort of thread the needle style. Inhale, bending right knee, lifting right arm, exhale, wrapping under. 2 or 3 more depending on your pace. And see if we can dial back the effort just a little, maybe a lot. But when you're ready, releasing the right hand down to the mat, stepping back into a high plank position, taking a pause there. As you find your high plank, how much is it possible to soften your breath? To do a little bit less. When you're ready, continuing on through a vinyasa, so a breath in where you are, using your out breath to release down to the mat, inhaling to your back bend, and exhaling to a down dog or a child's pose, particularly if the wrists and the hands are kind of feeling it. So find a little bit of stillness, give yourself a moment. And can you give yourself permission, physically to do even less. When you're ready, coming back into your down dog if you're not already there, and your in-breath will float your left leg, and the out-breath will release the left foot back down to the mat. Again, thinking about perhaps the quality of your breath, the quality of your movement, effortless, chilled, like not even sure I care that much kind of a vibe, nonchalant. Easier said than done. But then again, an in-breath will float your right leg and an out-breath will step it outside of your left hand. Drop the back knee. And a few times, just the hips. Inhale to melt forwards and exhale to draw back. Inhaling, hips come forwards. Lunge, exhale, hips move back. Hamstring stretch. And again, you're welcome to stay just with the hips or starting to add in your left arm. So as you breathe in, hips come forwards, left arm lifts. And as you breathe out, hips move back, left arm dives under. And inhaling, hips forwards, left arm lifts, and exhale, hips back. Diving, racking left arm under again. 2 or 3 more. When you're ready, 2 hands to the top of your mat. Again, stepping back into your high plank position. Before you move into your vinyasa, again, thinking about your intention, letting go of how your vinyasa should be. And when you're ready, your exhale will lower you towards the mat. In-breath will lift the chest. And exhale again takes you back into your down dog or into your child's pose. If you want to take another vinyasa, you're absolutely welcome to. Just like having a little moment for yourself. So we're going to start to move into a flow. So come down for a little breather. Again, just hit the weight out of the hands. We're going to move into a little flow, a sort of a ladder flow. So we'll build it up each time, same as last week. So there'll be quite a lot of repetition. Still, as much as possible, trying to keep the breath slow and calm. The more we move, the more we tend to, I think, get into this tendency of, and then holding, and then holding. So, effortless, easy. Downward facing dog. That same kind of quality of breath, quality of movement, that same air of not really minding, not really caring too much. And then when you're ready, your in-breath will float your right leg, and your out-breath will step it to the top of your mat. Staying on the ball of the back foot, the inhale floats the arms up to the ceiling, high lunge, little pause. Could you reduce perhaps your effort, maybe around the arms, the shoulders? You soften your breath. And when you're ready, an out breath will release the hands down to the mat. The inhale takes you back into your plank pose and through your vinyasa, exhaling to lower. Inhaling to your up dog or your cobra and exhaling back into your down dog. Pause there. Find your breath again. Before we then move on. So the in-breath, when it arrives, will float left leg. And the out-breath will step it forward. Breathing in to come to your high lunge. Again, a little moment to get there, to find your way, to release any unnecessary effort or stress. Using an out-breath to melt hands back to the mat. And in-breath to find your plank, moving through that vinyasa. Feel free to skip your vinyasas out if they're just not serving you, not doing anything for you. But again, from a downward facing dog, in breath will float your right leg. Out breath will step it forwards. Breathing in to find your high lunge. Breathing out, ground that back heel in and down, warrior two. So right toes to the top of the mat, left toes to the long edge. Low body, stable, comfortable. So the upper body, the spine, the shoulders, all of that can just kind of chill. Think about your breathing. Use an exhale to melt the hands down to the mat. An in-breath to take you back into your plank for your vinyasa, or moving you into a breather, some stillness. Right, so do the same thing on the left side when you're ready. Your own timing, but breathing in to lift your left leg and breathing out to step it forwards. Again, the inhale floats you up into your high lunge. The exhale grounds your back heel as you open into your warrior two. Again, I'm going to take a little bit of time just to settle in. So the legs are doing the work, so the rest of the body can be resting, comfortable, a bit more effortless. Softening your breath and using an exhale to bring the hands down to the mat. And an inhale to step back into whatever you want to take, however you want to take it. Let's continue on. So again, the in-breath will float your right leg, effortless. Exhale will step it forwards. Does that change your movements? The inhale to rise, or your expectations of your movements. Exhale, ground that back heel. Take a breath in. So receive a breath in as you breathe out, side angle. Maybe right forearm to thigh, maybe fingertips to floor. If right forearm is to thigh, maybe there's space after another breath in to breathe out and take right fingertips lower. If not, no worries. And trying to soften physically, and just soften your breath. Use an exhale again to bring two hands down to the mat, stepping back, breathing in, and again continuing on. Vinyasa, stillness. And when you're ready, feel free to go on if you're comfortable, but otherwise the in-breath is lifting your left leg. Exhale is stepping it forwards. Again, that quality of breath, quality of movement. Inhale to rise. And exhale, warrior two. Try not to get into the, oh my God, am I doing it right? Doesn't matter. Exhale, side angle. So left forearm maybe resting on left thigh, right arm reaching alongside the face or toward the top of your mat. Maybe on another exhale, the left hand moves lower, maybe not. And again, with an exhale, two hands come down, stepping back for your vinyasa or your child pose or your down dog, whatever you want, whatever you need. Trying not to let the breath become too tight, the body to become too tense. When you're ready to move on, we're going to do the same thing on the right leg again. So find your breath. Let go of a little bit of effort, a little bit of tension before the in-breath floats your right leg and the out-breath steps it forward. Inhaling to rise and exhaling to ground into your warrior two. Again, a breath in here and a breath in into your side angle. Maybe you take a round of breath at that halfway point before you exhale, left fingertips to floor. Bind or half bind. If you know what you're doing, go for it. So your half bind will be that your left arm reaches up to the ceiling, turn the palm 180 degrees to face the wall behind you, and then bring that arm around the back of your body. So you might be aware of feeling that hand on the right side of your waist, or maybe even finding your left thigh. This is your half bind. Your full bind would be dropping a little bit lower, bending the right knee, trying to get your right shoulder into the back of your right knee, and the right hand is going to try and find the left fingertips. I'm going to stay with a half bind. When you're ready, releasing 2 hands down to the mat, stepping back for some stillness, for a vinyasa, for whatever you want, whatever you need, before you move in to the second side. Is it possible to find a lateral breath? Is it possible to care less about how it looks? Again, the in-breath, when you're ready, will float your left leg. The out-breath will step it forwards. Again, the inhale lifts you, floats you into your high lunge, and the exhale finds your warrior two. Breath in there. Breath in for your side angle. I'm just going to spin myself around. Maybe you stay here, maybe you take the left hand a bit lower. Bind or half bind is your option. Again, half bind, right arm comes up, turns 180 degrees, bends around the back of the body. Maybe you just slightly encourage that top shoulder back. You're going for the full bind. Bend that left knee, left shoulder into the back of said left knee. The left arm comes underneath the thigh. Is it possible again to soften breath and or body as you release? Well done, guys. 2 hands down to the mat. Stepping back for whatever you want, movement, stillness. And once you've done what you're doing, you're going to walk hands to feet or feet to hands and roll yourself, bring yourself up to standing. Okay. Once you're up to standing, you're going to stand on your right leg, pick up your left foot. Maybe left hand is supporting into the back of the left knee. Maybe you're using peace fingers around big toe or just holding onto your foot or your shin. But coming into standing hand to foot or hand to knee pose. So wherever you are, find a bit of balance. Then maybe see about taking that left foot further forwards. Still, if possible, maintaining, faking even, a sense of calm. Carrying that left leg out toward the side. Obviously, there's quite a lot of effort happening, but can we use no more than we really need? Coming back to center, releasing that leg. Oof. And then switching sides. So letting go, if possible, of the need or the expectation to hit this perfect pose, really strong, really firm, and stay there. But instead, trying to find a bit of softness, bit of ease, chilled out, doesn't really matter. Does that help your balance or does it hinder it? It might be different one day to the next, carrying that right leg out to the side. Nice, well done. Coming back to center. Well done, doing good. And releasing it off. Okay. So next up, feet about hip distance apart. We're going to take a forward fold, but focusing on bringing the body onto the thigh. I think most of you know what's coming. But really bending the knees, resting your body onto the thighs. Keep this nice and close, body to thigh. Shift the weight onto your right leg. Staying low, pick up your left foot. Come up to standing, keeping body and thigh as close together as possible. And then again, coming down in the same way. Hold on to a wall or a sofa or a chair if you want that extra support. Trying to spend as long as possible with just one foot on the floor. So your standing leg obviously is going to be working really quite hard. Really use the bend in your standing leg as well. You're going to be shifting sides. Obviously it's hard work for standing leg, for glutes, for abdominals. But we're still not really bothered. And trying to make it seem like it's easy. Like it's effortless. Good. Oh, ay. Sort of hoping, Anastasia, that your coat's come off by now. You're fairly warm. When you're done, because they're not very nice, shaking the legs out and coming towards the top of your mat. Okay, so coming towards the top of the mat, stand on your right leg, pick up your left, take a moment. Effortless, and then you're going to step your left foot back to arrive in a warrior two. Stepping the left foot to the back of the mat, dropping the heel in and down, opening up the arms. So again, right toes to the front of the mat, left toes to the long edge. We're going to move into your side angle with your bind or your half bind. So with the half bind, again, that left arm is going to be behind you, and then your right arm is going to come around the back to catch the back of the right knee. If you're in your full bind, obviously your right arm, obviously, is in front of your right thigh, holding on, hopefully, to left fingertips. I'm going to go half bind, right arm behind to my right knee. Wherever you are, sorry, I know you've been there a while, look to the top of your mat and bring your left foot to the top of the mat also. You're going to shift the weight onto your left leg. Come up to standing, bringing that right knee up with you. So if, like me, you're in a half bind, your left arm is behind your back, and your right arm, your right hand is catching right knee. Nice, and when you're ready, releasing any way that you need out of your bird paradise. Take all the time that you need. Nice, Becky. Cool. Switching sides, standing on the left leg. Little moment. And then stepping back into your warrior two. So your left toes now will be at the front of the mat, right toes to the long edge. And again, you're moving into your side angle. Right arm coming over. So again, we're moving into that bird of paradise. There's a lot happening in the shoulders, in the hips, the balance, the whole shebang. Bind or half bind. Again, if you've got your half bind, the left arm comes around the back. Look to the top of your mat. Doesn't have to be elegant, probably won't be. As you bring that right leg forwards, put the weight onto your right foot. Come up to standing. Bringing the left knee with you. Again, trying where you can to soften the shoulders, to find a little bit more ease or space in the body as you then release any way, good, that you need. If you would like to do that again, just that little bird of paradise, go for it. If not, you're going to come down to the floor. But if you're like, do you know what, I'm going to have another go at that, please do have another go. If you don't want another go, you're going to lie down. So if you are having another go, whether you've got your bind or your half bind, still trying to come up to standing with a sense of ease. I'm going to leave you to it, guys, if you're bird of paradising. If you're not bird of paradising, come down onto the mat, bringing right knee in towards your chest, stretching left leg away from you, just for a couple of breaths. And then switching sides. Bringing the left knee in towards your chest, reaching right leg away from you, sorry. Bringing soles of the feet to the mat, knees bent, feet planted, and gently squeezing the hips up into the air. Again, we still want a little sense of ease, of not minding too much, not trying too hard. Let's come back and see what your breath is doing. Bringing the hips back down when you're ready. And maybe just bringing the feet in together, soles of the feet touches and knees drop wide. Arms out to the side, palms up towards the ceiling. Seeing if you can soften and open into this position if this doesn't feel good for your hips, for your low back. And stick with the soles of the feet. planted. That's going to give your low back a lot more support. And if you're super comfortable as you are, maybe you'll stay there for your final Shavasana. But otherwise, start to think about adjusting your position so that you are as comfy as you can be. When you start to make your way, when you find yourself in your Shavasana position, just a few times, let's come back to that lateral breath. Receiving a breath that is soft, and smooth and slow. One which isn't drawn, pulled into the body, taken with physical effort. Instead requires our focus and our concentration to do less. And then when you're ready, letting go of all effort, all focus, allowing your breath to move comfortably, naturally. Allowing thoughts to move freely through your mind. And anytime you realize that you've taken hold of a particular thought, you've got involved with it, see if you can let it go, allow it to keep moving. As you wait and observe whatever comes next. Maybe start to breathe a little bit deeper. Maybe in through the nose and out through the mouth, if that feels good. And when you feel ready, starting to move the body. Move the body again any way it feels good for you. To come out of that stillness. To check in with how you're feeling. Before you slowly make your way up to a comfortable seat, but there's no rush. If you want to spend a bit longer in your Shavasana, if you're not ready to move yet, it was a little brief, and please do take the extra time. When you do eventually find your seat, just making sure you're comfortable, closing your eyes. Again, could you release a little bit of effort, maybe allow your seat, the arrangement of your body to become a little softer. Taking a moment just to reflect. Is there anything that comes to mind, whether it's in your physical practice, in your work life, your personal life, where perhaps it could be useful or interesting to explore doing a little bit less. Less effort, more sensitivity. Sometimes our effort levels, our doing more, our working harder can be a really nice way, as I'm sure we all know, of just blocking out perhaps some of the softer, more delicate, completely lost the word, sensations or experiences. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone. I hope things are feeling all right. I hope you have a lovely weekend as best you can anyway. Yeah, let me know if you've got any feedback, any questions. As always, feel free to just ping me an email or stick around now and ask, it's fine. But thank you very much. I really appreciate you getting out of bed on a Saturday morning. Have a lovely day.